All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Show here on Serious Angler. We got a smaller crew tonight, but a good crew. As always, I'm your host, Bailey Agbrett. And joined with me, as always, is Brendan Chapman from Do It Molds and Mr. Jake Boomer from Alpha Angler, who got to be a part of the inaugural Western Bass Shootout this past weekend. Participated, but
I did. I burned a lot of gas. Yes, I was supporting the fuel industry on the West Coast.
It's right. Somebody's got to. But fellas, real fast before we start diving into the show, we are obviously too short tonight. The Serious Angler boys are not here. Deacon is out on the Delta where Jake was just fishing, getting ready for Toyota Series this weekend. So good luck to Deacon. And honestly, huge news tonight. He's in the comments a little bit because he cannot be on live. He has much, much, much more important business to attend to. And that is Andy is not here tonight because as of 11:34 this morning, Andy became a father of two. He had his second daughter, and we have full name here, Eleanor Margaret Lynn Full. So congrats to Andy.
Congrats Andy.
Congrats, buddy.
Yeah.
So he has a little boy and now a little girl, or has he got two girls?
Two girls, the poor guy.
Hey, that's what I'm rocking. Two girls. The only other testosterone in the house is a 5-pound Shorkie. It's me and him against two girls.
I don't know
and
if
my
that
wife.
counts.
It doesn't. Glamour pet.
Yeah. But yeah, so folks, that's why the rest of this week and tentative for the upcoming weeks, because I can't speak for it. I know Jake, you can speak for it, being that you have kids. There's a lot of unknowns, so if there's Andy might not be on some shows, but he's gonna try to make it if he can. But seriously, congrats, buddy. We're really happy for you. The family of the Fulls is growing, and some future Bassmaster Classic champs potentially in the making. But boys, talking about the Classic, that was our most recent event on fantasy fishing. And honestly, it was pretty damn tough for everybody except for, I guess, Gussie had tough day 3, but everybody else seemed to ride. Like, it was hard to just get a damn limit. It's kind of incredible how much that 18-inch smallmouth rule impacted it.
Yeah, an 18-inch. Sorry. An 18-inch smallmouth is a big smallmouth. You know what I mean?
It is. That's
like over here.
Go ahead.
Over here, an 18-inch smallmouth is like a 4-pounder because they don't get as long as they do on the East Coast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we have these. If you have an 18-inch smallmouth, it's probably at least 3 1/4 or 4-pounder. And you saw the two that Gussie had that he did weigh on the last day. He went over 6 pounds, right?
Yeah, he had 6 for 2. And he tossed back some 17 3/4. And, I can't imagine how painful that has to be. You're leading the Bassmaster Classic day 3, and all you need to do in your brain is get a limit, and it's in the bag. And you have a 17 3/4 inch fish, and you have to throw it back.
Yeah.
You know how mentally defeating that has to be?
Yeah, I'd throw up.
Well, dude, I mean, the camera footage on him, at the time, I'm sure he's laughing about it now, but like the footage of him running back to the ramp, like basically in tears, wanting to just probably hide from the world, thinking he lost it, was, dude, I couldn't imagine that gut wrenching feeling.
And but the thing is, did you notice it wasn't till he sat down and drove back? Like when he had to throw him back, he didn't lose his composure. Like he was kind of like stone cold. It wasn't until he was driving back that he was like, I think I just lost the Classic. But like in the moment when he was grinding, I didn't see he didn't throw a fit or lay on the deck of the boat. I was pretty impressed with that. It just the fact that he was so calm and collected, even though you just couldn't get him,
Yeah.
You guys were both there in person, correct? I wasn't there. You guys were both there, right? On site. What was the vibe like at the show? I mean, like, was it kind of up in the air by day 2, or were people really thinking it was Gussie's show? Outside looking in, like after day 1, I felt like Gussie, it was his to win at that point. knowing that he had like one other spot to get to, and it seemed like catching 18 inchers weren't that difficult at his spot.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: day 2, it was ironic looking at it midday, day 3, when we didn't know what the heck was going to happen. But day 2, the weigh-in, they basically kind of, if you were at the weigh-in, they shaped it up to like Gussie's already got this thing won, the way they were talking about it, which you could tell Gussie was excited, and then he could switch, and he'd be like, "I got one more day left." Like you would kind of bring him back down to earth because he knows that there's still an outside shot for somebody to come back, and he's still got to catch 5. It was going away, deal, but dude, people were really like making it sound like it was done. And midday, day 3, people were kind of like, "Oh shit, we might have drank something."
Yeah,
because that would have been really. I would never want to be, throw my face again type of deal. Like I'm sure that's exactly what he was thinking riding back to weigh in. But yeah, I mean, I think people day 2 thought it was like done deal.
I'm glad that there was some drama at the end, because I was one of those people by like the end of day 1. I'm like, oh man, he's got one other spot that he's saving. And I don't think he really had to utilize it much. It was mainly that one stretch that he was working that I think he did most of his damage on. But I was glad to see that there was some drama at the end to kind of, throw a wrench into the whole show. Because outside looking in, kind of seemed like it was his by day 2 for sure.
Yeah, people thought it could have been Schmidt or Canterbury, because I believe with Schmidt, I think his Marshall over entered his weight of his fish or something like that by like a pound, something like that. Basically, there was a bunch of rumors flying around, of course, when the guys were coming in on day 3. But I mean, Canterbury lost a giant on the day 3 in the morning that could have made things actually pretty interesting if he had landed it. But I mean, obviously, bunch of guys had lost fish, or I still think it would have been a completely different tournament had you had allowed, at least 16-inch smallmouth. I think it would have been a completely different term.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but either way, Classic was awesome. According to Bass record setting attendance, I think it said like 160,000 or something like that. I mean, I don't know if the number is accurate or anything, but I could tell you what, if you try to go walk down the hall to the bathroom, it probably took you 30, 40, 45 minutes to get there. So they had a pretty good attendance. I'll say that.
Yeah. Like if the California Fire Chiefs had seen what happened in Knoxville, they're just a little bit more lax there, because that was way outside of like what I consider. It was crazy. You're right. You couldn't even like wander to the bathroom. And to answer your question, Brennan, I had no idea what was actually going on in the Classic, because it was so chaotic in the booth. Like there were so many people. Everyone's like, Gussie caught one, and everybody's cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, and so all the Wi-Fi signals are shot. So
it's horrible.
So you're trying to watch it. Somebody put a screen up and it just lock up. It's crary.
Maybe that's better. Maybe that's better that there was that suspense and nobody really knew.
Yeah. Not till weigh-in, right? Yeah.
The best marketing you can do at the Classic, at the Expo, is have a TV with the actual event running and it working, because people will linger around your booth for a long time.
Yeah.
But
satellite uplink.
Yeah. Because nobody's cell phone. So it looks like you have 5 bars LTE and you literally can't use your phone at all. So if someone trying to upload content, you're like pissed off. You got to run outside. I'm half a mile away, upload something, come back. Yeah.
That's a good idea, Bailey. You should get a marketing job in the fishing industry. That's smart.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Genius. All right. Well, we're going to get into the upcoming Bassmaster Elite event on Lake Murray, but let's real fast run through your guys' points from the Classic, and then we'll give a updated total in regards to standings of the group for fantasy fishing points. So, Brandon, you want to get her out of the way for you?
Honestly, no, I don't. But let's see, Bassmaster Classic. I scored 1,001 points, which is not ideal. I had a pretty rough one. Let me find it here. So I had, get this, I had David Mullins, right?
Yep.
Last place. Matt Erie, Matt Robertson, Pat Schlopper, and Cody Huff. My best place finish was 18th with Matt Robertson. David Mullins really let me down. I had high hopes. I think I was the only one that picked him in our group, and I was shocked, being that, you know, he's got tons of experience on that body water. And it was one instance where the hometown hero was not the person to pick. So let that be a rule maybe for some of you guys choosing your picks moving forward, that sometimes you don't want that. And I got to experience that. So 1,001 points, not good.
Yeah. Well, I want to say something really fast. I want to breeze through because we actually have Mr. Wes Logan joining us to give us a little insider info to what's going down at Murray. But I really want to give a shout out. I don't remember if I did this on the show after the classic we did when we finally got back home and settled. But something cool that I overheard that David Mullins did for Gussie. Gussie gave him a whole shout out in the media room. Was David Mullins waited, I believe it was day 2, waited for Gussie and followed him all the way back to the ramp because his lawn being slower or potential if there's any issues. He followed him back to the ramp to make sure he got back, got in on time. Like, because obviously Mullins being a faster boat could have just flown back, but it was super cool to hear that he just in case, you know, rode behind him in case there's any issues. Kind of a super cool sportsmanship deal. So just, I don't know. I can't remember if I shouted that out or not. I remember telling some people, but
I love that story. But I do wish it translated to my fantasy points. So
you wish you had 17 pounds of smallmouth too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If you could have got second for doing that or something, I would have taken it. But that is pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, for real.
Before Boomer goes, I'll quickly say Deacon had 1,128 points, and Andy had 1,167 points. Boomer, what'd you have for the classic?
1,068.
Okay.
I think I lost altogether. Like, that's the lowest, right?
No, no, Brendan was the lowest.
No.
I won last place. Don't try to take that.
Nice.
That's my title, dude.
I had Tristan McCormick, who is a home, like he went to college there. Like, and I figured, man, he'd scope the criminy out of him. He had 44th. Mark Frazier, who I thought was my gold pick, was 46th. I pretty much locked up all the 40s. Keith Boucher, though, was a good pick. He got 15th. John Cox got 4th. And then Polnick got 38th. So I burned on in.
Speaking of Boucher, we're going to get into that here in a little bit because I guess he's not fishing Murray, which I don't want to get into now, but we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, real fast for mine, I had 1,180 points. I had Lester, who got 6th, Livesey 15th, Robertson 18th, probably the biggest average weight of fish in the tournament, just couldn't fill a damn limit. His 2 fish on day 2 and 3 were probably bigger than most people from 30th and back's limits. The dude was on size. He just couldn't fill a limit for whatever reason. KJ Queen was 27th and Casey Smith 38th. So right now the updated totals, we got Deacon in last place with 2,893 points. Brennan in 4th, 2,917. Andy is in 3rd with 2,957. Boomer in 2nd with 3,074. And just barely in front of Boomer, I have 3,088 points. So only 14 points ahead of you, Boomer, making things interesting.
Yeah, looks like this one's going to get to the ropes, huh?
Hey, that's makes it more fun that way. But let's start getting into Lake Murray this week. And before we start giving our picks and everything, and sound like a dummy after he comes on and tells us we're all wrong, let's get Wes on here first and tell us what's going on down on Lake Murray. What's going on, dude?
What's up, buddy? How are y'all?
Good, man. How's your week down in South Carolina?
It's going. It's
You look
going. I've been gone from the house for 6 days now and got, I don't know, 20 more. So.
Oh man, because you got Santee next week.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to after that?
I got to stay and do a little bit of content work with one of my sponsors, and then we'll jump right into Lay Lake. So never ends. Once it gets going.
Right. How far is Lay from you?
From the house, it's only like an hour.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, how is Lake Murray setting up? What's it looking like?
Looks like there's going to be a lot of fish caught. And I'm not judging off my practice day to day. I'm just going by the way the lake's fished in the past 6 to 8 months. I mean, the lake's really healthy, it looks like. All the fish, like the few that I caught today, they're just so healthy. Like, I mean, you might have a 16, 17-inch fish that may weigh, 2 3/4, 3 pounds. On any other lake, it'd be a 2.5 at the most. But I mean, our temperatures, like weather-wise, we had a cool morning today, but I think the coolest it's getting is going to be like in the 60s at night. I mean, the herring spawn's probably fixing to go down like really good, I would think. I know nothing about that. I've never fished a herring spawn. I hate herring fish, but they're fixing to probably curb stomp them doing it, if I had to guess.
What kind of, do you think that's going to be the biggest player, or what things do you think are going to be kind of your major players for somebody that's going to win?
I think for somebody to win, it's either going to be, somebody roll up on the right point or have a network of points they can run, or your live scope guys are probably going to be the ones that are, either one of those two is how you're going to win, how the tournament's going to get won. Hands down, there's no doubt about it. You can write that down. And I'm sure there's some fish on bed. I didn't really look today. The wind blew today like 25. It was kind of hard to see. But I'm sure there's still some spawning. But the fish spawning can't compete with the herring fish if they turn on and somebody figures out the right stretch of the lake or the right sequence of points. Or you like I said, you got your guys that are really good with the live scope that will commit to it. That they'll find something a little different, something that's not getting beat on too bad, and kind of have it all to themselves. And that's how we've already seen it this year. Tournaments get dominated and get won, really.
Right. Well, Brendan, Jake, you guys got anything for Wes?
Yeah, I got a question. Go ahead, Jake.
Go ahead.
Nope, let her.
I watched a little bit of the Murray coverage from the MLF. I'm sure you guys watched a little bit of that, and I thought it was weird that Gagliardi won it, kind of poking around. Do you think he just knew the best points that had the bigger fish? I mean, is it kind of like, because there were some really good fishermen that just didn't kind of click. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? You guys think it's going to be like burn as many points as you can and you'll run into them, or are there points that are just better fish on those points? They just feed on them.
Yeah, no, I think historically there's probably certain points that and there's probably fish on almost every point on the lake at some point in time. But historically, you're probably going to have the points that the bigger ones get on, year in and year out. So with having, knowledge from this place, you can put yourself, and a lot of times I think like when we're at home, we don't have a herring spawn, but like we have the shadow spawn kind of like on seawalls and the clay points as well. But you'll have like a section of the lake that always turns on at certain times of the year. So like early April, this section, late April, early May, this section. So knowing the section that you need to be in and then knowing those particular big fish points in that area it's going to be really key, because the guys that are going to have to run through, 100 points is somebody like me or, somebody that doesn't really know the lake, that's just hoping to run into them during the day at some point, which not saying it can't happen for somebody 4 days in a row, but it's going to have to be your tournament to win if that happens.
So a gas burner for sure. Like you guys are going to burn gas.
And there's going to be, it's going to be a hopscotch and like just you hit this one, somebody hits one in front of you, you go to the next one, you may have to run through 4 of them that you wanted to fish and you get to fish the 5th one. But it's not to say that you can't pull up behind somebody that just pulls off of it and they come up schooling and you catch them. Like it's kind of a weird situation. I've never fished a tournament like this, or how I think everybody's going to fish it. It's just kind of odd because you kind of know the deal, but who's going to run into them? Like who's going to get lucky? Like are they going to, push a ball of herring up there and there'll be 5-pounders blowing up? You catch 4 of them like in 10 minutes. It's just, I'm not a fan of tournaments like this, but somebody's got to win.
Right. Brandon, what'd you have?
I think Wes, you pretty much just hit on it. I was going to ask, I'm a Midwestern guy, so the herring thing is completely foreign to me as well. I was curious, and like I said, I think you kind of answered it already, but how big of a timing thing is that? I mean, is a guy better off having 3 or 4 key points, let's say, that these herring spawns are happening on, and just specifically targeting those and waiting for the time to shine? Or are you better off running as many as you can and just try to run into them? But
yeah, I think one odd thing that I kind of noticed with the BPT guys is you had guys that smashed them one day and then nothing, like literally nothing. And that's, I don't know if, and I don't really know what I didn't watch it that close. I don't know if they like sat on those points waiting for them to come up, or if they bounced around and just didn't run into them and their main place wasn't firing. It's real. I mean, the best way to put it's a scary way to fish, honestly, because I mean, it can be really good. It's the high risk, high reward, but I mean, I don't really like saying that because basically anything you do is a high risk, high reward. Like it could go away at any point. But that just takes it to a whole nother level. I would rather have something consistent, like may not be a winning deal, but just know I could go, catch some. Which the thing about here is you really don't know. It's kind of up in the air what it's going to take to get paid, like for us to have a good finish, because I feel like the BPT guys hit it probably as best as the lake ever could get fished. Like with the warming trend on a full moon, you got all the spawning fish, you got pre-spawn fish on herring trying to spawn. So now your herring fish way more than they normally would when they're post-spawn. Because 90% of the time, or 95, probably close to all the time on a herring spawn, you're supposed to be catching post-spawn fish. But as warm as the weather was, it happened so fast that when those fish were pulling up on those points, or where they stage on those points, the herring just kind of showed up the way that I think. Like, I mean, they just showed up with them the 1st of April, and the ones they were catching were big fat footballs. And it's kind of weird to know if that kind of skewed the weights a little bit, like made it look a little bit better than it really could be. But I mean, regardless, it's gonna take a lot of weight to win and to get paid. It's just how much. Like, is it going to be 17 a day, or is it going to be mid 15s? It's kind of up in the air with the few guys that I've talked to.
Sure.
Makes sense. Well, Wes, dude, appreciate you hopping in here during your practice week to give us a little lay down on what's going on. Wishing you the best of luck rest this week. Hope you get some sleep, dude. You look exhausted.
It was a long day. It was almost 14 hours, so we're going to go do it again tomorrow.
Well, it looks like the week's at least getting warmer for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully not as cold as today, but dude, good luck. We'll be rooting for you and appreciate it again.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, Wes.
Yeah, thanks, Wes.
Thank you, man.
Wes. Well, so speaking of that, he mentioned how the morning was cold. I did pull up the weather forecast for Murray. And so they have, let me see if I'll share my screen here. We have a couple things I want to get to before we give our Murray picks. There we go. We got a weather tab here. So we got tomorrow being a high of 69, mostly sunny. And then Wednesday through Thursday is 80s, Friday 73. You kind of almost got a cold front rolling through the weekend with some high winds and some rain. So I'm thinking any sort of lick of what spawn there may be left is not going to play. And I kind of reflected that in my picks, honestly, in regards to I went pretty heavy on your herring guys.
Yeah, I can't imagine that weather does much for the sight fishing fellows up shallow.
No, not at all. Because, I mean, it looks like literally they get clouds just all 4 days of this event. Predominantly more western winds, which, I guess any sort of, West Bank could be relatively sheltered for the shallow folk type of deal. But I think anybody trying to fish in East Bank right now, good luck. But there are a couple fingers, I'll say, that run north that they probably could be okay. But regardless, going to be kind of interesting from a weather standpoint, because I can't take all the credit here, but I talked to Brad Rutherford, who runs pro staff over at Pure Fishing, and he's a Lake Murray hammer, and mentioned how pretty much all spawners are pretty much done. He said there might be a few left with these guys, and he's sure one or two guys might find them, but for the most part, it's going to be basically straight up post spawn patterns here for this one. But before we get into our predictions for Murray. We actually have some questions rolling in on it too, which, speaking of questions, really fast, I have neglected to mention this at the beginning. I have 2 things I can give away to people tonight. So make sure you guys are rolling in your comments, your predictions, your picks, etc. Stay engaging because I'll be giving out a Serious Angler hat tonight. Be shipping you guys one to one lucky winner. And another lucky winner is getting a new pair of Hobie eyewear shades. It's the Hank Cherry specials. Or in the state, Hank Cherry's. Actually, no, I think Cherry's North Carolina.
He's a North Carolina guy,
Yeah,
but he's from the Carolinas. So
Carolinas. That's right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Same.
All the same. It's all the same.
That's right.
Close enough.
I'll be giving the Hank Cherry specials out to another lucky. So 2 winners tonight. Keep it rolling, and I'll be picking 2 winners to send these prizes to. But we got one question here from All Things Angling, and I wanted to bring this up anyways. Was what's your guys' take on the 28-day off rule, which disqualified Keith Poche from fishing Lake Murray? What do you guys think about that?
I got to take. I think rules are rules. They're in place for a reason. They got to be consistent amongst the entire field. No questions asked 100% every time. However, I wish the 2 organizations would do whatever they can. I understand they're never going to be friendly with each other or work together, but at least don't work against each other. So guys like Keith are able to double dip, do both. I can understand why they wouldn't want to do that, but it just really sucks to see stuff like this. It really does. And it's never going to stop sucking.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. I love the 28-day off rule. I mean, I'm sure you talk to some guys and they wish it's longer. Sure. But same in regard to the no info. No info starts basically when the schedule's announced. So I think I love this rule, but I completely agree with you, Brennan, that I just wish the trails would work together a little bit better from a scheduling standpoint.
Or just not work against each other, you know?
Right. Boomer, what do you think?
I think they've had the 28-day rule for a long time. I think it balances the field out, right? Because if somebody lived in South Carolina the last 3 weeks they've had off, you just get that little bit of extra progression, get to watch it go, watch what's going on. This way, everybody gets the same amount of practice and gets to you have to use your skill set in those 2.5 days to see how it's going to develop. I think that's important. But one thing to note is there's a couple rules on both sides. But if Keith would have elected to not do the previous event that disqualified him from this current event, the Bass event, he would have been disqualified at a higher rate in the MLF circuit. That's what I understand. He wouldn't have been able to fish anything. I think he would have missed the next 2 events. I think the penalty is much greater if he misses one side versus the other. So, and I think it was kind of a date he couldn't miss. Like if he made a knockout round or something like that, he was right on that line that got him kicked out. So, which I get it, right? Angler organizations are trying to keep their anglers. That's their assets. And so somebody like Keith, who just wants to be like John Cox and fish everything, I understand it, and it stinks that we don't have him there. But I can see what they're trying to do. Like, these are our assets. We want them on our water, and so they play this game back and forth. And you're right. It sucks for us because right now Keith is just on a tear. I'd love to see which river he beat his boat into in this derby. You know what I mean?
And that's the worst part is like every year, like Keith right now on a tear, like you mentioned, like, are we going to see this moving forward where anglers that choose to kind of dabble in both or commit to both seasons are going to be set up for an amazing season and then have to throw the entire season away because they choose to fish the other one? It's just from a fan's perspective, like you mentioned, it's just really unfortunate that these guys are never going to have, a full opportunity to have an awesome season. They're going to have to choose. So, and I understand your point about, them being assets 100%.
Yeah. It sucks though. Like if you look back on it, every one of these guys has gone, the guys that just go on I don't care about where I'm at tear. Hackney did it for a while. He was FLW and Bass. And he said he literally was getting better because he just didn't quit fishing. He went from event to event to event. Sure. That was the funnest to watch him because you could tell that was when he won Pickwick. Remember that? He's like, I just found a better spot than everybody else and whooped everybody. Like he got to the point where fishing was what he was. And that was so fun to watch. but they can't sustain it. Nobody does. Cox did it for a while where it was everything. I don't know if it's burnout or you wear out or whatever it is, but Poche is now that guy. I mean, if he's probably fishing a weekend derby right now because he can't fish bass. You know what I mean? Like, he probably didn't go home. He's probably just fishing a derby. It's fun to watch guys when they get like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and you notice that pattern when guys do that. For the most part, those guys fish really good once they start getting that train rolling. It's like Cox did it where he started winning event after event. Like he won on Chick, and then he won on I can't remember where it was. He was swim jigging. I'm trying to remember which fishery it was.
But I remember that.
But like, dude, that's why these guys do that, right? I mean, Tyler Rivette was telling us at the Classic he wished the Classic was a week earlier because his confidence was rolling. Like, guys are firm believers in that. They don't want that break period because, the guys that are doing well don't want the break period, I should say. The guys that are not doing well probably want a couple weeks to just reset.
Like to stop the beating from the guy that didn't practice and showed up and won. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just looking in the mirror, screaming, "Get out of me." Just your own head just running in circles. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I completely agree with Brennan. Rules are rules, and it sucks. I would have loved to watch what Poche. I love watching Poche in every event. I think as an organization, MLF or Bass, they'd want to have Poche at their events for the simple fact of how he fishes during this time where people are hating on a guy staring down at the ground all day. They love to have a camera in Poche's boat just for the pure fact of how he fishes.
I got a question. Do either of you know, does he still have a opportunity to make the Classic if he doesn't fish the entire season, being that he's out on Murray? Like, if he's still qualified points wise, is he still in, or because he missed an event, he's out? Does anybody know? I'm just curious.
I can't remember, but they instead of getting low points, they get no points. Isn't that how it goes?
Which is brutal to recover from.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna text someone from Bass right now and ask if that counts.
Stand by.
Stand by.
Well, it's Bailey. He just texts. I'm calling the brass right now and finding it. This podcast needs to be accurate.
Well, yeah, I don't want to. There's no such. Well, I shouldn't say there's no such thing. There's a lot of misinformation Andy and I put out about our thoughts of fishing, but when it comes to factual stuff like this, I don't like to put out misinformation. But yeah, I mean, that's a great question though, because I don't think statistically he could. I guess he could if he did really, really well for the rest of the season. I guess I don't know numbers wise how that shapes out, but the last event in the season, if he wins it, that he makes the Classic. You know what I mean? It's they have that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So there's still that opportunity in, or at least I think.
So what you're saying, Brent, is like the Opens, you got to fish all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you miss one, even if you win, you don't get that Classic berth. Is that the way it is for? I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
they don't.
That's even worse, right? Like if now he's not able to qualify for a Classic when he's on track to do so, to put not just Keith but future anglers in that position, that's just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
all right, I have an inquiry into Bass. If they answer, we'll dispose of it live here on the show.
All right.
Yeah. But I think in the meantime, let's dive into our picks for Lake Murray. Let me pull up the Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing here. Let's get our buckets here. Share my screen. There we are. All right. So what we'll do, being that they're not here, we'll take it easy on Andy because he became.
Why? Andy, sorry. I was thinking of Deacon. Sorry.
Oh, Deacon, we're gonna rag on him. Deacon decided to fish instead of coming to hang out with us tonight. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the crew.
I hope he has it in his ear though while he's pre-fishing. I really do, because I just hope.
Just because Deacon didn't make it tonight, if you guys in the chat can just put, because we used to do this with Bart when Adam Bartuzik was on Fantasy Fishing, he would miss 9 out of 10 shows, and they did hashtag Bartlist in the comments. So if you guys do hashtag Deacon lists in the comments, we'll screenshot it and send it to him, and you guys just rag on him in the comments if you guys will. So we'll make Deacon go first with his picks here.
Yep. It only seems right.
That's right.
It's about time, yeah.
Yep.
So we'll go. So you guys want to start A to E, or do you guys want to go E to A? Let's go 8E. All right. For bucket.
Oh yeah,
what?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was gonna say E to A, but all right.
Okay,
My
we can do
picks
that.
suck.
We'll do E to A.
What if we do CADEB?
I think we'll lose everyone that's watching this right
Okay, yeah, let's not do that then.
All right. So Group E for Deacon, he picked Brian New, who I think has the biggest percentage I think I might have ever seen out of Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing.
Yeah, in the E bucket. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, 69.2%, which is great percentage. Keep it there. What do you? Okay, so moving on from Deacon, we have Andy, also picked Brian New. I have a very strong feeling that we're all going to have the same pick. Boomer, you want to
go? Yeah, I picked Brian New. I want to pick somebody else, but I can't.
I know. Brendan, what about you?
I took Brian New. Dude, at that percent owned and in the condition that my fantasy team's in right now, like if I go down, I'm going down with the rest of the country. If he wins, then I'm a part of it.
Well, for my sake of keeping my lead, I was going to try to switch pending everyone was going with him now, but now that everyone's picking New, it cancels out. So we're good because I'm going Brian New as well.
Attaboy.
But I will say for folks just to, if you want a different option, if you want to take a shot, there's two that really stand out to me here. One is just, from a location bias in Todd Auten, being home Lake Wiley, which isn't too far from Murray. And Murray does have a lot of shallow largemouth. You saw that at the BPT event. I think you could see Todd Auten have a decent event, but also one I'd go with here is John Sokup. If there's going to be herring, if there's going to be guys scoping, that's a guy that I'd have money on just from a scoping standpoint could do well.
Can I throw one dark horse in there, even though I'm not taking him because I can't afford any risk at this point?
Yeah.
Paul Mueller. He's a live scope legend. One of the best on the Elite Series, top 5, no question. I could see him doing really well in this.
I could see that. He won on
Lanier.
Yes, Lanier.
Yep.
We got a view of Boomer's seat.
And it's a great one. That
is a great seat. Look at that seat.
Good
That's
job.
A high quality chair.
Good choice.
Well, we will come back to Boomer. I have no idea. I looked down to check my text coming in, thinking it was somebody from Bass, and now Boomer's gone. But we'll come back to Boomer here. But yeah, I could see Mueller 1,000%. I could see him with a spinning rod and a small little sonar head with a little swim bait that he poured with Do It molds and going to work.
For sure. Yeah.
And he's back. He's back.
Sorry.
You forfeited your picks because you left, so you actually got a 0 already. But go ahead.
I locked the girls out, so that's a problem.
This is
it's a problem. They want in their own house.
This is a greght comment. I think this might actually be our first winner for the night. This might deserve some Hobie Eyewear shades. Nonstop Panic Outdoors says Boomer must have had Mighty Taco. Dude, get in touch.
That's awesome.
We're gonna get you some Hobie shades. That's an incredible comment. Get in touch, man. Get whether email or social. We'll get these Hank Cherry special Hobie Eyewear shades sent out to you. That's awesome.
That was good.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to bucket D. We have Deacon selected Brandon Polinick for this one. I think which I don't think has Boomer. You could speak way better on this. Has he ever had this tough of a start to a season before?
Well, he didn't though. He had a great finish at Okeechobee. So this is only he did good in Okeechobee, but he did really bad at Sabine. Where were they at?
Seminole.
That's
Santee's next week.
Yeah, that's right. But the classic doesn't count in points. So in the classic he had boat issues. He ran into something on the Wednesday of practice. And so he spent his whole day before the first day of the tournament moving his stuff, and not just moving stuff, like moving everything, like graphs. And I think that has a huge impact on an angler. So
yeah.
So I don't think Brandon's a bad pick. I haven't talked to him much because I was in the Western Bass Shootout. So, but I would think that if he settled back in, he's kind of that guy that's never really out, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you look at his wins by now, you got to know that anywhere in the country, he's going to be somebody you should look out for. Like all 5 of his wins are in completely different locations, completely different times of the year, fishing completely different. It's impressive.
So I got to preface this because I'm getting a little self-conscious because I really wanted to pick Sook up in the last one, but he's an alpha angler. So I'm like, I can't do that. And then I'm like, looked at this thing and I'm like, well, Brandon's got his boat's clean. He's had a couple weeks off, hanging out with a baby. He's going to kick butt. I can't pick him. Like, I already picked him a couple times, and like everyone's like, all right. So Brian or Boomer's picks are going to be anybody that's an alpha angler, and so then I'd have zero value at all. So I didn't get to pick the 2 guys I wanted to. But
you can pick him. No one's going to judge.
I do think Brandon would be a good pick. I did not pick him, and in an effort to not burn Deacon, I'm not going to change after his picks are announced. You know what I mean?
We're not going to rag on you because you're here. Deacon's not. So
yeah, why are we not trying to burn Deacon? What happened to the plan?
Well, Deacon's in last place, and he knows he's sucking, so that's why he's going with the high percentage guys on every single bucket. So that's why.
True. Is that what he did? Did he go? Oh,
I believe.
I'm not doing that. Not me.
I think you needed a pinky up. You needed a pinky up with that class. Boomer, go with your heart, buddy. Whatever the alpha anglers tell you.
True story, right? So I didn't know. Sorry, is it my turn?
Yeah, you might as well. You're on the train.
I actually picked Brandon Lester over Brandon Polinick because it was close. But he's coming off a good classic. He hasn't had a horrible year. He's up and down, but I think he's a really good post pond fisherman. So yeah, I don't know. I just was kind of thinking that, I mean, he's not the lowest pick. He's 16%, but I think that roll goes. So
did you just pick him because his name's Brandon and you couldn't pick Paul?
Yes.
Okay. That's why. Okay.
Yes. And they're right next to each other. So it's like, Miney Mo.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I do like that pick because I think one thing I picked up too about Murray from watching the BPT is that there's a great shallow bite on this lake, from laydowns to there's a lot of great looking shallow cover, from docks to laydowns to brush to even some submerged grass back in pockets, it looked like. And I think Lester's great at finding that. I mean, I don't know how many times we've watched him do that. He's great at flipping swim jig, that sort of deal. I think he can make some hay. And then he's even a guy, dude, that I could see starting the morning off throwing top water and just junk fishing it up and catching 17 to 19 a day type of deal. I could see him being a factor going into day 4. I don't know if I'd see him winning this one, but I could see him definitely putting up a top 15, top 10 sort of deal. And so really fast, Andy's pick was also Brandon Polinick. So the alpha boys. Brendan, what about you?
All right. I got to go Jason Christie here. I don't know. I just got a feeling. I could see him doing either deal. I could see him being all in on that herring spawn. I could see him being all in on that shallow water bite, doing a spinnerbait, doing something weird, all on his own. So I don't know. With his success on Hartwell, I don't know how well Hartwell translates to Murray here. But he's proven himself what he can do in these herring-based lakes. I got to believe some of that can translate. And I like his versatility and his guts when it comes to shallow water largemouth in these herring fisheries. And I could also see him, tearing it up with live scope offshore too. Honing in on that herring spawn bite. So I got to go Jason Christie. And it's Jason Christie and he's in bucket D. So just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's at what is it called? The Yum sonar minnow or something like that he was using at the classic that he would believe that was his pattern, was getting a limit on that in the morning, scoping them, and then going up and flipping a jig for 2-3 bites the rest of the day on docks.
Yeah, or like a walking bait or a buzz bait or something. I could see him, going around docks and throwing a buzz bait 100%. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Two things about that pick, about your guys' conversation. One, I don't think Murray has spots or is heavily dominated by spots like Hartwell, though.
Sure.
Right? So I thought about it. I mean, your pick is also the highest percentage pick of the T-Bucket, Brennan. So you're right. You're going across the board.
Yep.
But you're absolutely correct with him and largemouth on docks. Like, I don't think there is anybody better, especially if they postpone under the docks. And did you guys see him? He fished out of Gadsden. What's that? Gosh, the West Logan one.
Neely Henry.
Neely Henry. He was doing an open there, and we were watching him on the end of the day. And he, with a buzz bait, which is a post spawn bite, he was leading that tournament or whatever. I remember watching him the last day, and he said, "I will fish behind anybody else, but I won't fish behind myself. Like, I'd rather fish behind somebody else than myself." And it wasn't an arrogant comment. It was about, like, he's so good with a buzz bait that he's going to make these casts that are, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to fish behind the fish that he knows he would have caught if he went through there. He'd rather go behind somebody else that might have caught a different one. But it was an impressive comment that he made on live. Like, I'll fish behind anybody else with a buzz bait, but not myself. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that's a really good pick.
Thank you.
Can I change my pick?
At first, you were derailing my pick, and I almost had to switch, but at the end, you made up for it. So I'm sticking with Nathan Christie.
Made him feel self-conscious.
I kind of want to change my pick now.
You can't.
I know I won't.
We're still in the bucket. I'll allow it if we. I'm okay with it. What's your reason?
So you can do it.
Deacon, hey, can we change one of Deacon's picks at the end of the night? Like, can we all?
I don't have the capabilities of hacking into his account, but I can try to tap into Ronnie Moore to see if he can hack into his account. And then,
I like
what I'm saying?
We got people on the inside, dude. We can do whatever we want.
That's right. I'm gonna have Ronnie just deselect all of his picks because Deacon didn't show up.
I want to change his name too, if we can do that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Sarah Deacon.
Sarah Deacon.
Maybe it just gets deleted. His account just vanishes. I don't know. Just hypotheticals here.
Oh Lord. It's like the fantasy football thing. Like, the guy that loses has to do something embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can make those rules. If you're gonna miss a Monday Night Live, you're gonna have to change your name for a week to Sarah Deacon. Change your Instagram handle to Sarah Deacon. That would be good. I really hope he's listening.
Yeah. Me too.
All right. So
I just literally saw him 2 days ago.
I hope he ragged on him in person.
Yeah. It's a long week. He felt it too. They ran him through the ringer trying to get him organized, and he did podcasts late at night. So he worked hard.
Yeah. He grinded, did the Western Bass Shootout live streams. If you guys haven't checked that out, highly encourage you to. He had the top 10 going into the final day on his show live. You can watch it on Serious Angler here. Super good episode. Some cool guys, the names I haven't heard of yet. Some cool, and I love that. Honestly, that is one of my favorite things about the sport, especially from a tournament standpoint, is these characters that I've never heard of before. And I go and listen to the coverage, and I get to go then one if they got platforms, be able to follow along with them. I like learning about the new names, like the up and coming. That's honestly one of my favorite parts about this deal. But yeah, super good job from Deacon's standpoint. Check those out. But he's still a goober for not being here, and I'll stand by that. All right, so real fast, my Group D pick, and I'm gonna actually re-pick my Group E here. Well, not re-pick, but add Brian New, so I don't forget to add these like I did week one.
That'd be a shame.
Yeah, I'm going Mr. Justin Atkins, and I got ragged on him all last year because I picked him a bunch, and he didn't have the greatest of events. But I don't know if anybody remembers, Justin Atkins won the Forest Wood Cup on Lake Murray. Granted, that was August, but I feel like if it's a post-spawn deal, a guy that knows herring, familiar with them, won on herring lakes, chasing a herring pattern, a guy that's got confidence, a guy that's at 2.5% in this bucket, I'm going Mr. Justin Atkins. And let me select brand new before I forget and don't add my picks here. Okay. Group C. We will go. Deacon has, let's see here. Deacon has Mark Frazier. Mark Frazier for Group C. And Andy went with Mr. John Cruz. Some interesting picks here. Boomer, what you got?
Yeah, those are both. Mark Frazier burned me at the Classic. So, all right. So, keeping in line with. Listen, I don't want to hear it. All right,
No.
Deacon, listen. I picked Bryant Smith, and so I did not pick Polinick and Sukup, but I did pick Bryant Smith. So, yes, he's an alpha now. Oh, I don't know if we told you guys that, but Bryant is now an official alpha angler. He is also, if for anybody that hadn't watched before, he was my travel partner for the MPFL. I have a lot of, I think he's one of the naturals. He's one of the good ones. But in this scenario,
I'm just glad it's not me this time. Normally that's every time that's me.
Damn West Coasters. His internet is performing like his performance on the Delta.
Oh,
got it. I can't speak. I suck this year. Here we go.
Oh,
did you hear us ragging on you?
No.
Okay, cool.
You didn't say anything.
Didn't say a word.
Okay.
We said all nice things.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Where did you lose me? Did you shut me off because I picked Brian Smith again?
Yes.
No, but I was going to rag on you for, I think you picked him every event now besides
every event. Every event.
What are these
but
ones?
You know what? He's done good though. Like he saved my butt in Okeechobee because he was my middle pick, and then he had a pretty good finish at Seminole. Anyways,
yeah, I'm just gonna keep riding.
So did you guys hear my reasoning? So if anybody's watching, all right. I watched Bryant Smith. Never been to Hartwell before. Run points in an NPFL event last year. Granted, there was spots in Hartwell, which I don't think Maria is primarily dominant by spots, but he is really good at. He's a points machine. He's a top water points, and I bet he can run as many points as anybody in the lake. So I picked him also because after Wes Logan got off, I switched back to him because I jumped off of him. But when Wes said the spawn was almost over, I was like, yeah, it's post spawn, and he's kind of phenom post spawn fisherman. So he's my low bucket count.
I like it.
And I'm gonna disclaimer, Brian, if you suck, you're off the team. Alpha angler, all of it.
You're off the
You're done.
Contract.
You're done.
You're in the contract. If you suck in fantasy fishing, I'm removing you.
Yeah, there will be a label in the mail for all your rods. Put them back in the tube and mail them back.
Yep. That's why you read the fine print right there.
That's right.
Yep, that was a clause. I saw it.
You just make him pay the shipping. Don't give him a label. Make him ship it back himself.
You're right. Under penalty of.
Yeah, that's good. Brandon, what about you, man?
Bucket C. I don't really have a great rhyme or reason. This is just kind of a gut instinct pick, but I'm going to go Corey Johnston on this. I think between him and Chris, if you look at their consistency in tournaments, which is something that my fantasy team needs really badly right now. Not only are they phenomenal fishermen, obviously, or they wouldn't be on the Elite Series, but there's definitely an advantage the way that they share information, being with their brothers and kind of work together. So I don't know how well of an angler he typically is on these herring fisheries, if I'm being totally honest with you, but I got to believe between him and Chris, they're going to dial it in. And also just a animal with live scope. So I'm going Corey Johnston.
I like your reasoning just to justify because he's the highest percentage in the bucket.
Yeah, that's actually why I was picking up a little
3 in a row.
Yeah.
3 buckets in a row. I'm just saying.
Hey, dude, you can't hate. Have you seen my fantasy scores? Like,
oh, I love it.
He had a pretty good classic too. So
he did. Right. I mean, he's in bucket C, and I know he's not like super high up there in terms of ranking this season, but He's really, really good, and I don't think he should be in bucket C, and I don't think he's going to be there for long. So I look for him to kind of turn it around right here.
Yeah, this one was tough.
Mm-hmm. Toughest bucket, I think. Don't you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was this toughest? Yeah.
You got Scotty Martin there too, who's very proven on these herring fisheries.
Yeah, throw in the oh gosh, what do you call it? What's the damn bait name that's got like the weird? It looks
Seabull?
like a small spook with a little lip on top that just kind of like skitters across the top. You know what I'm talking about? Right. Oh, I think it's called like a riser bait. I think it's called.
Does Deps make one? Is it like the frill shad or something?
Jackal
No.
riser.
Is it a soft bait or a hard bait?
A hard bait. It's a trebled bait. I think it's called a jackal riser. Somebody in the comments definitely knows. I know Andy knows, I think, but I think he tuned out here tonight. Yeah, I remember vividly watching a Scott Martin video of him smashing them on that specific bait. No, not the Z-Man Hellraiser, but I mean, I guess they probably could eat it. I don't know.
They would,
but I believe it's a jackal riser. I know it's a JDM bait for sure.
Okay, I think it is a jackal now. I kind of know what you're talking about.
Okay,
yeah. Real quick, did anybody think about Kenta Kimura?
I did a little bit. It just seems like the guy excels better on like your back, like James River type backwater
and the opens. As long as it's an open, like the guy tears up the open straight,
destroys people in the opens.
But didn't he top 10 Harris chain last year? Or did I mix?
I think he did.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Jackal riser. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not crazy.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, man. All right. For my pick to round out Group C, with a dude that doesn't live too far away and is familiar with herring fish, I'm going with Mr. KJ Queen. Living on Lake Norman, understanding how herring fish behave, but also knowing how to get back into some largemouth territory and catch a big one or two. I think KJ Queen is going to do well in this event. So I'm going with old KJ. But okay, I still have not received an answer just yet on this Keith Poche deal, but we're trying. I promise we're trying. Okay, Group B. We have Deacon's picks are Patrick Walters. So another dude that is predominantly leading the bucket from a percentage standpoint. And Andy went with Stetson Blaylock. I feel like I would love to go back and review all of our fantasy fishing shows that we've done the past 3 years and see how many of them he's picked John Cruz or Stetson Blaylock, because I feel like it's above 70%. It's got to be.
I like Stetson Blaylock here too, though. I can't hate on him for that.
I completely agree. There's a few guys that I think I selected my pick 4 different times for Group B, not being able to make up my mind. But yeah. So, Boomer, what do you think?
Stetson Blaylock.
Stetson Blaylock.
Any rhyme or reason? Well, one, have you guys ever seen him bed fish? Like, he's probably one of the best on tour. And I know that they say that the bed fishing is over, but I feel like he's the guy that won't go bounce points. He'll go find a couple late. You know what I mean? They're not all done. But he also does really good on Hartwell. If you ever notice him when he's doing like, it was the Hartwell Classic, he was in the mix there. Like, I think he's really good at herring spawns or herring lakes. I don't know. He just stuck out, and he's not a real high percentage guy, and there's some hammers in there. I mean, Canterbury's hard not to pick in this one, but I don't know. I thought Stetson was the best. It is really hard to not pick Patrick Walters.
Yeah, it is. There's a few though that are like you could pick your entire A through E out of bucket B.
Yeah. When Stetson's first win was a bed fishing win, but I can't remember where.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. All right, I'm going down with Blaylock.
Going down with
the ship's gonna sink. He's gonna be on
it. Sorry, Stetson.
Yeah.
All right, Brendan, what's your pick?
I bet you guys can't even guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I can.
Go ahead.
We might as well just like Brandon. You can take off, dude. You're good. We'll just.
No, dude. Okay, I have to go Patrick Walters. You know I do. I'll go back to this again. This excuse. The state of my team needs victory. We need Patrick Walters here. Obviously, South Carolina guy. Got to believe he's been around this lake plenty of times. If not, just understands herring, right? Like fully understands the herring thing. I'm going Patrick Walters. I could see him getting offshore with a jerk bait. I could see him throwing topwater. I could see him on docks. I could see him doing anything. I'm going Patrick Walters. And he's 37.5% owned. So everybody else goes down, I'm going down with him. But I'm playing chalk here. I promise it's not all chalk, just most of it. But Patrick Walters.
I think between you, Andy, and Deacon, I think it's like a difference of like one pick.
I got a good one for you for A. So stand by. Stand by.
I'm gonna imagine it's whoever has the highest percentage.
Wrong. It's not
okay.
Ray. You're wrong.
Okay, I dig it.
Walters is the scopinest dude on the planet too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're getting me to second guess.
It'll probably burn me.
Stetson.
Yep.
Boomer, I feel like you're the easiest person just to start doubting yourself. Like your picks here, like, are you sure? It's like all you gotta ask, and you're like, maybe I'll change that.
It's because I just got off the California Delta, and you can fish the best looking stuff in the world and be like, did I fish that wrong? Am I in the wrong spot? Actually, where the hell am I? Where are we? How far does it take to get back? This place is huge. So yeah, you get a little bit doubtful. It's a confidence killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, so total sidebar, but that is probably one of my biggest weaknesses. And I think it'd be way worse if I liked fishing shallow, but if I was a shallow water guy, I feel like I would be going crazy being that I'm from New York and everywhere down south, these fisheries, everywhere up shallow looks good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of glad I'm an offshore guy. That way it kind of just, I'm able to put it out of mind for the most part. Until I can't find them offshore, then I have to go shallow. And then it's like I lose my mind because you almost like fish too much water because everything looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God. It's like, it's the coolest fishery on the planet as far as it's just amazing, but it's a conundrum all in the same. You know what I mean? If I could have scoped them offshore somewhere and I tried, I figured I could catch some pre-spawners out deep, but well.
We got a question here from David Jong from English Channel asking, how many seals did you see on the Delta?
A whole bunch. And I'll preface this because it's kind of a touchy subject because everybody wants them to deal with the seals, but you'll see a ton of seals in the spring because they get it. They know how to feed on shallow fish and bedding fish are easy to feed on, blah, blah, blah. But then in the summer months, you don't see as many of them, but they are getting to the point where like we were loading our boats on the last day of the tournament and there was kind of a narrow channel with docks on both sides. And there was literally a seal going between the boats. And he probably only had maybe 4 or 5 feet on both sides. He'd go under the docks. I mean, like, I'm surprised some of them don't get prop strikes on them quite a bit. You know what I mean? Like they're not afraid of the docks or the people. It's like they're in the cafeteria lunch line. Like we're just kind of in the way. Lots of seals.
Kind of like a manatee deal you see on St. John's or something like that. Like you see the scars on their backs type of deal.
Yeah.
That's
the second day when we came.
Go ahead.
The second day there was one that had a catfish about 6 feet. It was the biggest damn catfish I've ever seen. And he was just holding it, smiling like a dog putting a bone around. Like they're just machines. They can catch anything. Yeah,
dude, they're wild.
I wouldn't swim in the water. I wouldn't swim in the Delta.
Yeah, no thanks. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of one of the seals with what looked like to be a freaking giant largemouth. I think that picture was floating around the internet for a little bit. It was. Yeah. I feel like I would probably cry if I saw that in person.
It's a point of contention. Everybody came to the dock, at least one person. I saw, and I only had to say, I saw a with a 6-pounder and he was flowing around and didn't even eat all of it. All of a sudden, the whole parking lot goes into get the guns. It's over. We're done with it. We're getting them. Do you have a bad day of fishing? It's the seals' fault.
Blame it on the seals.
I did. It was all the seals that ruined my fishing. That's why I did bad.
That's right. Well, I'll round out our group B here in the fact that there's a couple good picks. Like Canterbury's a great pick. Blaylock's a great pick. I think you could go, obviously, you go down to Patrick Walters, great pick. There's so many different guys in here that I think could do really well. I think Cody Huff could do well. I'm sure Gussie is going to be on live on day one, trying to Demiki or mope these some of these herring fish. I'm sure it's bound to happen. I'm sure he's already tried it in practice. But a guy that I think will get up, get nasty, get with some largemouth, I'm going to go with is Mr. Matt Erie.
I love that pick. Yeah.
Good pick.
I think he's a dude that's going to take a Texas rig or a jig and get up and flip laydowns all day long. Laydowns and docks.
Yep.
Okay. Last bucket, which I'm sure at least 3 people in this one are going to have the same pick for Group A. But we'll start off with Deacon, who went with Brandon Cobb. And Andy also went with Brandon Cobb. So that's 2 picks for Brandon Cobb. Boomer, who you got?
I'm trying to change it. I'm not telling the line.
We can come back. We can come back.
Yeah, come back to me. Let me look at it again because I can't back up behind Deacon like that. That's not going to work.
Brennan, are you prepared?
I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Let it rip.
I fully understand why 45.4% of people are going Brandon Cobb, but I think Lee Livesey is a huge sleeper here.
Damn.
Yeah, and he's only 1.8% owned. I mean, I might go down hard here, but at 1.8% and that many people going Brandon Cobb, if he bombs, I can't envision Lee having a bad tournament here. He's on a tear this year. He's shown us that he's an animal with top water everywhere he goes, whether it's a frog, walking bait, whatever the case may be. You've seen on Lake Fork, which granted that's his home lake, that's what he guides on. You've seen what he can do when he's all in on something like the top water thing, like he did at Lake Fork. Not saying that's 100% going to translate here, but I just can't envision him having a bad tournament. And I could see him out there chasing herring the entire tournament, all 4 days. So hopefully it pays off for him. I'm going Lee Livesey.
Sneaky.
Sneaky.
I like it.
Well, for this one, it's so tough. I'll circle back to some of the different picks. I don't want to spoil anything for Boomer. I'll let Boomer go last for this one. I'm just going to go with the guy that is super good, shallow, could mix in some herring stuff. We saw him do a bunch of stuff, smallmouth wise, Tennessee River. Also just think he's from a big, Murray is fishing big this year. I don't know if you guys have seen the bags that are coming out of Murray, but to win on this fishery, it seems like in the past several weekends, especially, it's 26 plus. And I think it was a BFL last weekend. Or no, it was like a year, same date type of deal. It took 20 pounds just to get in, I think, the top 12. So there's a lot of fish here, big fish. You saw what happened with the BPT. There's some really solid bags caught. This dude's just a big fish hunter. Going Greg Hackney.
Ooh.
All right, Boomer. Round us out, buddy.
Cobb. Got to do Cobb.
All that just to come back.
Give you extra time.
Well, guy could just second guess all your decisions all the time. Sometimes it's like, you know what? Flip the best looking mat in the lake. Don't drop shot it. Flip it. You know what I mean? But you got he's on a roll. I don't think he was leading the Okeechobee event. Yeah, he was. He was leading it after day 2. He got 20th at Seminole. He's fishing really good, and he's an amazing herring fisherman. He's 45% for a reason. I'm not changing. Plus, I think that's kind of – I don't want to pull a Deacon here and start swapping up at the end of the picks. So.
I really was thinking Cobb as well. To be honest, I was probably going to go Cobb, but man, Hackney had some big days at Hartwell, like those fisheries that have, herring going on, but he seemed to figure out that big caliber largemouth bite. He was another guy at Tennessee River for the Classic that didn't have limits, but found those bigger on average fish. Where I think if the size limit for smallmouth was 16 inches, like we were talking about earlier, I think it would have been a much different tournament when it came to it, because there was guys that just had a different size caliber of fish going, and they just said like, hey, if I could catch a keeper smallmouth, we'd be fine. But they're catching 17 and a half, 17 quarters. But
yeah, you crushed them at that spillway.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one of us picked John Cox. I think Shane LaHue is a great pick for this one too, because he literally does not live far away at all. I'll be interested to see if Tyler Rivette can keep the train rolling. I could see Welcher having a good event here, as he did a combination of herring patterns and also flipping and throwing a mag draft up shallow on Hartwell. I think there's a Bucket A is a great option too. There's just so many freaking guys that could roll with, but I think it's the first fantasy fishing show this year where you've gone without somebody picking John Cox.
Yeah. He saved my butt in the second event, I think. Yeah.
Seminole.
Yeah, I think he did.
I can see Rivette doing well here. I know he, his background might not make you think that he'd do well at an event like this, but you got to believe Hank Cherry, being his roommate for a couple of years, has a little bit of influence and some knowledge that he could share with this herring style fishery. I can see him doing well. He's obviously getting the hang of the forward-facing sonar deal pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, with exactly what you're saying, no one with his history expected him to go up the Okeechobee River and go throw a jerkbait on live scope versus go punch. So I think, I could see him doing well. I could see him doing well for sure. It could be a Tyler Rivette AOI season. Who freaking knows? Cool. All right. So let's go around the room here and give our weight predictions. Deacon is a freaking goober and didn't send me his weight. He cut it. His picture cuts off at the weight. He also didn't send me the drain the lake, but that's okay. So make sure everyone keeps getting those Deaconless comments in the chat going, making them feel bad.
All caps too.
All caps.
Let him hear it.
Hashtag Deaconless. All caps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fire him off.
Where's the Deke?
Where's the Deke? Where is Sarah? All right. Andy had 90 pounds and 12 ounces, and I'm sure most folks saw my weight prediction because I forgot to take it off here as I'm sharing my screen. I went 89.7. Boomer, what'd you have?
I had 82.2.
82.2. Brennan?
I'm going 81 even.
81.
Yeah, I'm low for once.
You guys are some Debbie Downers.
I think Logan Wes's kind of the way he was talking about it as a post-spawn deal. I think it kind of scared me off a little.
It scared a couple pounds off my weight, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
What part of what he said scared you away from going a little bit higher?
Well, when he said he doesn't know if it's going to take 15 to 17, that scared me. Based on what you said, like taking 20, what was it, 25 plus? I don't know if those are single day tournaments, but I mean, that's a big bag, but you get that many guys on the water practicing for that many days. We'll see.
Where's the Deke?
All caps. I love it.
That's awesome.
Dude, the amount of consistent bags on the BPT, I feel like is eye opening. And there's the weekend tournaments that are 200, 250 boats that still takes 26, 27 to win, I think is, I mean, he said it too. Every fish he's caught has been healthy, like really healthy. So I feel like the way
you got one kind of cold and windy day in there too. We'll see how that affects things as well.
Yeah.
Could fire up other people's bites. I'm sure it's going to hurt a lot more.
Yeah. And I don't think the herring spawn will happen. If that does for real go down, like Logan was saying, it could happen. That weight could be low. But if it doesn't happen, you got a bunch of post spawn fish. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's still 82
still
healthy. Yeah.
It is. I mean, that's 20 pounds a day. I think someone's going to have to, I mean, whoever wins, I feel like they're going to have like a 26 to a 28 one of the days, have a monster bag, and then kind of survive with like a 18 to 21 the rest of the tournament. I think it's going to be consistent because although I will say, just looking back again at the weather of it being 83, 73, 61, 51, dropping every single day, I guess that probably could, looking back on it, I think 90 pounds might be a little hefty looking back at that, watching that drop, being that it is a southern fishery. But I feel like also, and I am not proficient whatsoever with herring fish, but I feel like those schoolers, colder weather doesn't really affect them much if they're just chasing constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like those fish always eat.
Sure.
Yeah, they just don't surface as much, right? Like, they're not as easy to find, right? That would be my thought. I'm probably wrong, but
yeah, and I'm not a herring guy by any means either, and I don't know how much this translates to shad, shiners, whatever that, are my forage up here for my fish. But if anything, I got to believe it's just going to move the bait around, and those fish are going to, chase them, follow them to wherever they go. So,
yeah. Well, folks, really fast before we, do you guys have your drain the lakes that we can fire through here?
Yeah.
Cool. Before we do that, we still have a Serious Angler hat up for grabs. So keep firing off in the comments here, and I will pick one winner to get the Serious Angler lid. And obviously, you guys can choose the color. We got 3 different colors. You can choose which one you want. But I would say I'll do Deacon's Drain the Lake, but again, he's a goober. I decided to fish tonight and didn't send me his Drain the Lake picks. So he gets a fat 0 for Drain the Lake. But Andy went with Matt Erie, Todd Otten, Brandon Card, John Cruz, Daryl Gleason. Went with Mike Iconelli. Shout out to Mike Iconelli for being inducted to the the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Cody Huff and Shane LaHue. Pretty strong Drain the Lake. Boomer, what you got?
You're gonna have to go one person. I didn't pick enough.
8, Boomer. 8 of them.
Yeah. Dang it. I have 7.
Which, by the way, Boomer, Bassmaster shows you didn't pick any last week. or the classic.
I know. I didn't. I don't know how I spaced that. Yeah, dumb.
It's all good. Hey, it's okay. I did fancy fishing the first week.
So I got Walters, Rivette, Hackney. I pretty much poached all of your guys' other picks. Stuck them in a drain lake. Hank Cherry, Drew Cook, John Cox, and Iconelli. Is that 8? No, it's 7.
Get one more, buddy. So you had 6.
Sorry.
You can pick 7 if you want.
That's right. I didn't pick any last week. I'm going to put Lester on there because I had him left over, and I picked him on my other team. All right, so I got Lester. Cox, Lester, Iconelli, Cook, Cherry, Hackney, Rivette, and Walters.
Dig it. Brandon, what'd you have?
All right, we went Brandon Cobb, David Gaston, Patrick Walters, Brian New, Brock Mosley, Hank Cherry, Todd Otten. Sorry, Todd, but I'm just going to use you here. And Shane LaHue.
I dig it. Really fast before I put my picks here. This wins the Serious Angler hat for the comment from Team S Florida Fishing. It says give Deacon Poche, who's not fishing this weekend. So he should do. That's awesome. The penalty for missing this. Mm-hmm. Well, dude, congrats, Serious Angler hat. Get in touch, whether email or over social, and we'll get the hat shipped out to you. That was pretty good.
Is it going to be a sweaty version like the one you keep showing?
No, this is my hat. I'm just too lazy to go in the other room and grab a new one that hasn't been touched or sweated on yet.
It's a worn in.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that actually earlier in the show. There's like, is that hat sweaty? It's like, yes, it's mine. I promise you'll not get my sweaty version of the hat.
Well, you never know. They might want it.
Yeah.
Signed.
Hey, somebody right here. I actually have to. Someone specifically on one of the first shows we did with Wes Logan. when we had the hats in, one of the first shows that we had the hats. Someone won the hat, and they specifically asked for Wes Logan and Andy and I to sign it. So I have one more left. I have to get Andy to sign it, which he's obviously been busy having his kid. And once I can get him to sign it, we're shipping that, which is a pretty cool deal. Literally went out of his way. He's like, hey, can you take it to the Classic, have Wes Logan sign it, and then ship it? It was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Which I promise I'll get Andy to sign it if he's listening here, and we'll ship that out soon. But to round it out for tonight's show, my Drain the Lake is Matt Erie, Todd Otten, Jake Whitaker, Brian New, Shane LaHue, Brandon Cobb, Jason Williamson, and I went a little freaky with Masayuki Matsushita, who has 2 top 10s at Lake Hartwell. So just kind of feeling taking a shot in the dark. But boys, tonight was fun. I don't know if there's any other things we forgot to cover for Murray, other than I'm excited to watch this go down this weekend. And doesn't look like the greatest weather these guys are hoping for, but I think regardless, I think they're going to catch him. I think it's going to be catch fest.
Hopefully not over 81 pounds, but yeah, hopefully they catch him.
Yeah. And even if it is 81 pounds, I feel like they're going to catch a lot of fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be a fun one to watch. I think. I could be wrong, but
I totally forgot. Before we log off here, around the room, what do you think Big Bass is going to be? I'm going to go 8-2.
Well, that's way bigger than I was going to go. I was going to go like a low 7, high 6, but I'll go 7-1.
7-1.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Boomer?
I'm gonna go 6-10. How big was Gagliardi's?
8.
Oh, was it an 8?
Yeah,
I'm gonna stay in the low. I'm gonna stay in the high 6s.
High 6. Okay.
Yep, 6-10.
Mine's being upgraded to 7-6.
7-6.
Yep.
He's going up. I like it. What we're gonna do bait, and then we will call it a night. What do you guys think bait wise? Predominantly, it's gonna get one on.
All right, I got a couple takes.
Okay.
I picked 3. Some top water, or do I have to be specific? And I'll say a buzz bait. I'll say buzz bait on docks. I'm gonna say a shaky head and small swim bait under 4 inches.
Okay.
And I'd like to say jerk bait too, but I only got 3, so those are my 3. I'd like
I'll
to say a walking bait too, but I only get 3. And a jig, but I only get 3.
What you got, Boomer?
He just said everything I was going to say. Strike King, Sexy Dog, 1 knocker. I think that's going to be one that'll play. Just a guess. A fluke could play. When you use the fluke, though, you've got to have the little treble hook on the bottom, the little trailer treble hook. Who was it? Somebody did that in MLF where they put that on there and started catching them a lot better. And then, drop shot. Gags wanted on a drop shot.
Yeah, so something really cool to break that down. His 8-pounder. Did you guys watch that catch?
Nope.
So I didn't look at it completely in regards to him talking about it, because I don't even think he's done an interview since then. Trying to get him on a show, but I think he was looking at live scope and moving away from the spot. So like if I'm facing you, his line is like directly behind me and he's facing this way and looking down. You can see he gets the bite, and a lot of people react and get a bite and they set the hook like here, like when it's behind them. But he felt the bite, reeled, turned around completely, and set up. And I was just that small little detail of some like knowing to not pull the trigger right away, turn around, set. That way you can actually have a good hook set. That was like super cool for me. It's kind of like nerded out on just that little small detail. So if people watch, they probably know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it sound crazy. But yeah, it was super cool, which is why I sound like a doofus talking about it way too much.
You also said something that I think a lot of people have been talking about, but some don't want to admit. His forward-facing sonar was probably not pointing at that fish when he ate.
No, most likely not. He's probably looking while he's dragging that thing.
Yeah, like the people that actually really want you to buy forward-facing sonar, when you say, hey, listen, when I point at them, they swim off. They're like, it's not the sonar, it's something else. Like, how is it not the sonar? Have you had that conversation with anybody yet? Like,
yeah.
Do you think that these fish can feel the sonar and they're swimming off? Oh no, I don't think they're doing that. You guys should buy another active target and put it on there so it's sideways. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But like, how many fish are getting caught when the sonar's not pointing at them anymore, right?
Yeah.
Thought process.
That's what they're saying on linear now, is that linear, you have to, when you're pointing forward, you have to basically start, so you see him on screen and you have to turn away. Just enough where you can know an idea of what the arrow's at and make the cast, and you can't put the transducer back towards them. Otherwise, the school scatters.
No.
Yeah, I've heard both ways all across the country. I've heard some of the best people I know with it that say that it doesn't matter. I've heard some of the best people that I know with it say that it absolutely matters. I wonder sometimes if we're not giving them a little bit too much credit, and it maybe doesn't have as big of effect or an effect at all, but I don't know. In my experience around here where I fish, there's not enough people that utilize it or enough people that are good enough with it to probably make an opinion. But my fish around here, I can't say I notice any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, our northern fish don't care because they're stupid as hell.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely noticed, though, I'm a big believer in sonar, especially shallow. I'm a big believer in turning that stuff off, and you'll catch more, in my personal opinion. And I think that's why I believe it can translate to forward facing, and those fish can feel that.
Sure.
You could talk to Andy when he comes back, dude. He's noticed times already in the short period of time of having forward facing on Erie that he's noticed a smallmouth on Erie getting skittish to it, where if he turns it off, he catches them better. It's kind of weird.
I saw that when I was there. Yep. The funny thing about it is the best in the world, the ones that are really good at it, I think they're okay to say, hey, I know that I might be spooking some off, but I'm actually targeting and putting a bait in front of so many fish that if I get in front of 5 very active ones, I have, you know what I mean? It's like if I do it 100 times a day, I'm going to catch 5 really good ones because there's an active one that didn't care that it was there. Their mood wasn't affected by, they weren't in that kind of half neutral mood where they're like, I don't really like this sonar. They were there to feed. Like that fish that just smashes a spinner bait when nothing else would eat it. He was going to feed it regardless. He went like 9 feet from cover. You know what I mean?
Sure. Those are the guys those are the guys that live and die by it and are all just about the at bats. How many great presentations can you make to the fish? And that's the number one concern. If some shy away because of the ping, so be it, but they know that they're making great presentations over and over and over and over again. So
yeah, it's like old school fishing, right? Before we had active target, we would put a jerk bait in our hand and cover miles, and you were okay with knowing that you didn't know if you put it in front of one. Now the active target guys, as I put it in front of one, I just know that I put it in front of 95 of them that didn't eat, but I got 5 to eat.
Sure,
it's that play in the odds. Yeah,
I dig it.
Good conversation.
Yeah, to end that conversation, I have a question. Were you guys either one of the folks that used to take 2D and take their 2D transducer and point it out like the old school quote unquote forward facing sonar that people would talk about?
I'm not smart enough for that. I never did that.
No.
One time I hit a rock really hard and it bent the transducer up. Does that count? It was like on a trolling motor.
Sonar, so that was you.
I couldn't figure out why. I swear I could see the bottom, but it said 24 feet. It was weird.
I tried it a little bit, but same train of thought, Brennan. I was just sitting there. I'm like, this is too much for my brain to wrap around right now. Like, if you start seeing that mark, like, where does it actually, like, I don't know. But I've heard about some people that they're doing that back in the day before forward facing was a thing, and
what's not
super intriguing.
And I don't mean to take us down a whole nother rabbit hole here, but what's not being talked about is the guys that have it mounted on the back of their boat as well.
Oh,
you don't see that in live. They don't talk about it. It doesn't get any coverage.
No, that's.
How are they using it? Are they using it like where they're just shooting a beam out? Or
there's
another transducer in the back.
Can they move the transducer around? Or are they?
It's fixed, I believe.
Yeah, I know that there's guys where it's fixed mount, it doesn't move at all. And I think a lot of that is for areas like when you get up into some wind off of a point or something and you spot lock and you still have that transducer aimed backwards. So maybe you don't have the flexibility to pan around, But if you're in the general area, whatever's in that, whatever it's called, scope, you're going to see it.
I know a lot of guys are using it like on their jack plate pointed out, whereas if they're graphing, and so a lot of times, like if they're not showing up too well in DI or 2D, and obviously it's hard to sometimes see them when there's like suspended 5 or so feet off the bottom on side imaging. Guys are using that as their way to scan, like as they're graphing, they have live scope pointed out to the left or right. Or if you're graphing, you can go down a dock line and to see what's going on under the docks without having to get up and get on the trolling motor type of deal, which I think is super interesting. It actually is a great segue into tomorrow night's Tuesday Night Live. I'm having on Matt Becker and Steven Estes from Bass Fishing Electronics to talk about specifically fishing electronics hacks and modifications. And that is one of my questions I was actually going to bring up.
I will shut up now.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to listening to that. That'll be cool.
That's going to be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try to release some dirt for everybody, some juice, if you will.
Squeeze them.
That's right.
Squeeze them.
But boys, appreciate you guys joining in tonight. Unlike Deacon, you guys are committed. Appreciate y'all. And it was fun as always. To the folks that won prizes tonight, get in touch and we'll get that stuff shipped out to you. But either you guys got anything going on that the folks should know, whether it's at Alpha, Do It, or anything else?
No.
Not really. No, sorry, I'm boring. But
yeah,
you're good.
It's tournament season up here, so pretty excited about that. I can announce that I think this week we're putting my new Suzuki on my Phoenix. Kind of cool.
Nice.
Ooh, I'm kind of interested to hear what you think about that. I hear a lot of good things.
Sean, tax day
sale at Alpha.
We might have to do that. That's a good idea, Sean.
Do it up.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
For folks, if you guys are getting all set up, I know for many of my people in the north this past weekend, it was 80 degrees. It was like summer in New York in April. We actually found spawning fish, which was a month earlier than I've ever found spawning fish here in New York before. Pretty wild, which is going to go right back today because it was 30 degrees. But for folks that are getting out for the first time and realizing, oh, crap, I need this. Highly encourage you guys to check out Alpha Angler. And if you're sick of buying tackle online on different retailers and not having the right stuff, Do It Molds creates a great lineup of options to make it things your way. So encourage you guys to do that. Links are down below in the show descriptions. You guys can tend to, if you'd like to, go purchase some. But boys, again, appreciate y'all. And I think we're going to call it a night. Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Billy.
Watching. Thanks, guys.
Peace.